Do you know, friends, what the attitude to money should be like, of a normal, adequate person who does not have any problems with it and at the same time does not serve it? You do not know? Or do you think you know? It does not matter what you know and what you do not know, just read this article to the end, and it will help you change your views on life for the better. A person's attitude to money, as well as to everything else, is formed as he gains life experience, in which this very money is either there or not. And since in our world there are both rich and poor people, as well as people with an average income, there are also several opinions on the question of what the attitude to money should be. Some poor people say that there is no happiness in money, while the rich claim that money should be loved, constantly thought about and strived for. But in both cases, from my point of view, too much importance is attached to money, while the people behind it remain in the shadows. The essence of the issue that we will consider in this article is not so much about money, but about the people who give this money ideological power. The poor, not knowing how to earn money, lose all hope for a rich life and find peace of mind in more accessible joys, in which their happiness lies. This is according to the poor people themselves. Therefore, how can they say that money is important for life if they do not have this money? Put yourself in the place of a person who needs something, but he cannot get it, while other people can. Imagine the internal state of such a person, in which he feels like a weakling and a loser. He needs to do something with this state, otherwise it will eat him up from the inside. So the poor person, loser, comes up with fairy tales about a happy life without money, which he himself believes in and tries to make other people believe. But this is not true. Money is needed in this life, no matter what we think about it there. Today we are talking about money as a resource necessary for our life, but once people hunted to feed themselves and their families. And any bad hunter was definitely considered a loser, with whom a rare woman would want to start a family. Today, people hunt not for animals and birds, but for money, and anyone who does not know how to earn this money is, in fact, a lousy hunter. And how can a person, who does not know how to earn money, accept this truth, digest it and either come to terms with it, or start doing something to fix such a bad state of affairs for him? Yes, it is easier for him to say that money is trash, that there is no happiness in it, that it is generally evil, that it is not the most important thing in a person's life and in general money is not needed in this world. People should probably give each other everything for free if they do not need money, according to some poor people. And we especially need to actively help poor lazy people who do not want to do anything themselves. So, I think you understand everything about the attitude of some poor people towards money. As for rich people and their attitude to money, it, of course, has its explanation, but the thing is that rich people, no matter what we say or think about them, are still mostly smarter than poor people. And since they are smarter than poor people, or better said, rich people are more adapted to life than poor people, their position on the issue of money should not be trusted too much. You see, poor people are too naive and too frank, so they often say what they think, while rich people act more cunningly and say mostly only what others want to hear from them. And therefore, their attitude to money can actually be different, because here everything depends on the person who came to wealth in one way or another. But at the same time, they will say only what they think is right to say, and not what is really on their mind. Therefore, do not accept the position of rich people, especially the very rich, on any issue, including their attitude to money, as a true, honest position. You can say anything, you can even write anything, while acting in your own interests, but in reality, the thoughts and actions of a cunning person may completely diverge from his words. But how a person treats money will determine not only his financial situation, but also his satisfaction with his life. It is difficult to fully enjoy life if you are a beggar, but it is also difficult to enjoy it when you serve money. Simply put, happiness is not in money or its quantity, and certainly not in its absence, but in a person's understanding of this issue and his understanding of himself. A weak and undeveloped person serves money, he sells everything for it, including his own ass. A moderately wealthy person, but at the same time not very smart and therefore also weak to a certain extent, also serves money, attaching too much importance to it. A strong person puts money to his service, or, to put it more correctly, he puts people to his service with the help of money. And therefore, he always has a lot of this money, but he does not go crazy about it. Do you understand now why rich people are in no hurry to reveal their true attitude to money to the general public? Let everyone think that the rich are crazy about money, so that other people will try to imitate them in this madness, and will do anything for money. Just think what will happen to the rich people, of whom we know there are not many, if the masses refuse to sell themselves and their labor to them for their money. They will become poor in an instant, regardless of their bank accounts and their property. This fear of the possible, but unlikely disobedience of the majority of people, who can lose faith in money, explains the attitude of the rich to money. This is my opinion about the attitude of the rich to money. I suffered through years of thinking about money and power, communicating with both rich and poor people, and at the same time taking into account my own attitude to money. So, whether you want to accept it or not, it's up to you. For example, old Freud convinced people that money is feces, but at the same time, he asked them to pay for his lectures with these feces. And can we say that this famous psychologist's attitude to money was the way he imagined it? Obviously, no. After all, if it is profitable for you to openly demonstrate your supposedly true, but in fact insincere attitude to something, for the sake of your personal interests, then why would you give it up? For the sake of principles? Principles are a delicate matter, a very delicate matter. Being a principled person and at the same time having flexibility of thought is not typical of many. People generally lie too much and too often in their lives for us to be able to trust their words at all, so it is better to pay attention to what people do and how they act in certain situations. As for the money itself, it is actually a conditional value, not supported by anything real, except for people's faith in this value, as well as the law that helps some non-believers believe in the value of money. A resource such as money itself is absolutely useless. Even gold has no real value, because nothing can be done with it, and if we do not perceive it as a value, it will turn into a simple metal, beautiful, but absolutely useless. Here is bread on your table, this is a value, electricity in your home, this is also a value, and try to refuse them, of your own free will. We cannot do without food, water, heat, and other goods necessary for our life. Without some of them we will simply die. But without money, including gold, you can actually live if you know how to negotiate with each other. But the problem is that man has not gone far from the monkey in his development, and therefore he does not know how to negotiate, and therefore he cannot do without money. And before we decide on our attitude to money, we should decide on our attitude to ourselves. How smart are we really, and how much do we respect ourselves? Will we allow money to be the center of our entire life, or will we give it a less privileged place, making it work for us? Each person has what he can afford, and if you have little money, it is not about money, or its importance to you, or your attitude to it, but about your capabilities and your level of development. If you want to live richly, become smart, and then money will become easy prey for you, and everything easy is perceived by a person quite calmly, that is, he does not attach too much importance to something that was easily obtained by him. Why haven't you heard about this from rich people? And what useful things have you heard from them, except for those banal slangs with which they console the poor? Of course, it is understandable that those people who are living well now, they want only one thing, for everything to remain as it is. No, it is not about stability, as we know, it has never existed and does not exist, but about the order of things that has developed in society. Society is full of illiterate and simply not smart enough people who toil every day for money like hell, and who can achieve the most in their lives is to create some mediocre business and with its help provide themselves with a sufficient amount of the most accessible benefits. And even then, not always. But the higher troughs, sitting at which you have absolutely everything and in large quantities, and when you do not even have to work, are available only to the most savvy members of our society, to which they will not let anyone without a fight. Well, what can I say? A person's mental development has always affected and affects his position in society. You can read Russian and foreign classics and consider yourself smart, or you can eat like crazy and not work, and really, without any conventions, be smart. And do not think that I only measure a person's mental abilities with money or my stomach. It's just that in the material world, in which the strong eats the weak, the ability to occupy a high position in society is much more important than a large amount of various knowledge in the head, which cannot be used in life. In this life, there are conventions that we refer to in our reasoning about something, and there is the true state of affairs, that is, the truth, the understanding of which helps a person determine the right goals in his life and, in general, allows him to adequately perceive reality. If in real life you have nothing, no material goods, no status, no power, then all the knowledge in your head is useless, it's just garbage that you carry inside you. A person's attitude to money should be adequate to reality, and not to his personal views on life. By the way, what does should mean? Who do you think you owe in this world? It's obvious that you owe it to yourself, right? Therefore, regardless of whether you agree with me or not, I will not change my opinion, and you can stay with yours if it is convenient for you. So, if a person has a lot of money, for which he practically does not work and which comes to him in large quantities regularly, and he can afford to buy whatever he wants with it, then what should his attitude to money be? What can it be in this case? Adequate to his attitude to himself, right? Everyone around is a sucker, a goy, an inferior being, and I am God, I am the master, I am the best, and so on. Do you think they, rich people, do not think so? Yes, even the last collective farmer thinks so, having mastered the primitive buy-sell scheme. Or have you never seen this collective farm cattle, in those same restaurants, who bend their fingers and treat everyone to champagne, showing off like some guys? Here you have a manifestation of human nature, a manifestation of his desire for domination, to stand out from other people, to show off his coolness. A person is terribly primitive if his development is stuck at the stage of puberty, therefore the self-esteem of a successful person in life is extremely high. And money for him is the same as bread for overfed Philistines, which they throw in the trash and which their children throw at school. This is not the behavior of monkeys who, having overeaten, begin to go crazy from fat. Do you personally value bread in your life? Do you throw it in the trash, or do you value every piece, every crust? But bread is the head of everything. After all, if you knew what hunger is, you would value and respect every crumb of bread. But you, perhaps, I do not claim this, do not do this, and in the same way, a rich man who does not know need treats the money he has, he does not value it, although he understands its importance. It's one thing to understand what money is, and quite another to react to it instinctively. And most people react to everything, including money, as a rule, instinctively. That's why every orderly society has laws that maintain order. Well, unfortunately, most people don't meet the criteria of reasonableness to a sufficient degree. If there's not enough of something in our lives, then our primitive mind forces us to value it, and if there's a lot of something, we start throwing it around left and right. What about money? Think about how you feel about the air you breathe and without which you can't live even for a few minutes. Isn't air more important than money? So why don't we value it? And we don't value it because we already have enough of it, we don't toil for it all day long, it comes very easily to us. But if they worked hard, if some people had a lot of this air and some had little, then all these discussions about the importance of air, about whether there is happiness in air or not, would begin. Well, what do you say? Are you able to provide yourself with money in such an amount that your attitude towards it will be the same as your current attitude towards air? Yes, you would happily live like that. If you had such an opportunity, you would not give a damn about this money and especially about the work that you have to do for it. But you can't do this, that's the problem. And therefore, it seems impossible for you to form the right attitude towards money. Well, what did you want? Of course, not just to climb to the top of the social pyramid, when you don't need any money at all, because it is needed by those who crawl at the bottom, ready to do anything for a handout from above. I would have created this site if everything with money was easy. I would have then gone into some esotericism, some spiritual practices, to occupy myself with something interesting. The thing is that this whole game of money is not a simple game, and the winners are the most cunning and insidious human beings who can lie, dodge, adapt, and when necessary, destroy their enemies and competitors. What we wanted, such are the laws of nature, the strongest survives in it. But now you, in any case, know what our attitude to money is made up of and what it should ideally be. Money has never been a value in our lives. The value has always been our opportunities that allow or do not allow us to achieve something. I have never understood those people who endow inanimate objects with certain qualities, considering them to be the culprits of our troubles. Well, there are no things in this life that would harm a person without the help of the person himself. No weapon actually kills a person. Cars do not hit people on the roads. Drugs, computers, alcohol, money, and other things do not harm us. Only a person can harm themselves and other people using all of the above. It is a weapon in the hands of a person that can kill. It is a person who wants to use, inhale, drink, inject, smoke in order to pass out and get high, harming their health. People, of their own free will, or rather, of their own stupidity, pump themselves full of all sorts of crap, which then comes out of them as dope. The same situation is with money. Money is neither evil nor good, it is nothing in itself, it is only a conditional value, with the help of which we have agreed to exchange goods and services. But being underdeveloped creatures, we, not all, but most, have endowed money with some mystical, divine, power and worship it as some kind of deity. We have turned money into a religion that does not need to be studied and understood, does not need any rational attitude towards itself, because religion only needs faith. I am not saying that you are the kind of person who mindlessly worships money, but you must agree that there are quite a lot of people who are fanatical about it. They are the ones who cultivate money, worshipping the golden calf. What the attitude towards money should be, and what it is in reality, can be easily understood by looking at the peculiarity of the life of each individual person. A poor man will tell you that you have to work hard for money, that it doesn't come easy, that there is no happiness in money, but you can't live without it. A rich man can say whatever he wants, explaining his attitude to money, but for us it is not so important, because now we know what rich people really think about money and how they treat it. I have written many times about how important it is for a person, first of all, to treat himself correctly, to be a person, and not a gray spot in someone else's statistics. Money is our servants, and therefore our attitude towards it should be appropriate. In this matter, in the matter of our attitude towards money, there can be no points of view. We either accept the true state of affairs in this world, or hide behind all sorts of illusions and invent all sorts of fairy tales for ourselves to justify our weakness and stupidity. If you have money, in sufficient quantity for you, then you have the right to reason, as I do, about how important they are for life. But if you do not have them, then what can you know about money? You can only think that you know something about them. Read my articles, and thanks to the knowledge gained from them, earn yourself a lot of money, and then treat them like air, that is, do not attach much importance to them, they are not worth it.